But right now we want to talk about Bobby Lashley making his
Friend of the show.
Yeah, friend of the show.
He still owes you, I think, 100 push-ups.
Yeah, he does owe me 100 push-ups. He's been running from those push-ups, but seeing him make his return back to WWE don't look like he's been missing out on any push-ups.
It doesn't. I want to ask you. You were down in Florida whenever Bobby originally left WWE, right? You were in TNA at the time, right?
Yeah.
What did you think when you heard that news that Bobby Lashley is no longer in WWE?
His first run?
Yeah, after his first run.
Well, I kind of saw it coming. I actually, spoke with Bobby about that, and I didn't think it was a good idea.
So he wanted to kind of, he just felt like,
he was going through certain things that we don't want to talk about here.
Yeah.
I don't want to put anybody's business out there, but he was going through certain things, and he felt like it was time for him to leave. And my thing with Bobby Lashley, I really thought, after working with Bobby Lashley, doing the, King Booker thing, and, beating Bobby, to become king, actually, and working with Bobby, actually bringing Bobby to my school and coaching him.
I think a lot of people don't know that you brought him down to Houston and you said, hey, let me show you some.
A lot of people don't know that. And I brought him in and, let him sit under the learning tree and, taught him, a few things as far as in ring as well, getting a chance to work with Bobby in a huge program. It was awesome, but Bobby, I feel like, he was the heir apparent because I knew I wasn't going to be around very long. I knew I was going to be leaving. I said, man, I knew this guy was going to be able to take my place. I knew Bobby was going to be able to pick up exactly where I left off and keep going. I always was wondering who was going to be the guy who was going to take my spot, and run with it. And I was so wishing for Bobby Lashley to be that guy. And then when I knew what he was going through and he was thinking about leaving the company, I was like, man, no, that's a bad move. That's the worst thing that you could do right now for your career. You know what I mean? Sometimes, some guys get a second chance. Sometimes some guys, it takes longer to get a second chance. Sometimes guys don't get a second chance. You know what I mean? For Bobby, thank God, it may have taken him just a little longer to get that second chance, but now he got it. Hopefully he can make something out of it. But I looked at Bobby, I was, sitting there, at the commentary booth, and watching Bobby Lashley out there, in tag match with Braun Strowman, and I wonder, how far has Bobby come along as far as the Shakespeare goes? Is Bobby going to be able to go out there and work on that, prime time WWE level? Is Bobby going to be able to go out there and give me one of those Shakespearean classics? I'm questioning that. You know what I mean? Will Bobby have to come back and sit under the learning tree a little bit more? You know what I mean? Before.
What did you think, though? What did you think about what you saw?
I thought his footwork was, could have had a little bit, could have been worked on a little bit better.
And what does that mean for people who don't know? Like, what do you mean, like his footwork?
Well, it's like having happy feet. Where a basketball player sometimes, where he's taking too many steps and he travels. You know what I mean? A quarterback, where it should have took a 3-step drop and he took a 5-7-step drop. You know what I mean? That's what I mean. It's a very technical thing, when you watch a guy and know how good he really is just by watching him circle the ring. That it's very, very intricate detail.
Well, I think, though, that Bobby, though, he's come back. He made that big return. Raw after WrestleMania. There have been rumors for a couple of weeks, or maybe a month, that he was coming in. And then he came in, and it's almost like he's filled the spot that he was in when he left.
Well, it seemed like he really never left.
I know. And he was gone for 10 years.
But I think, I don't know. I don't know if he was a better worker then, or was I just that good of a worker and made him look that good? And that's what I always, I always prided myself on, was going out there and making guys look great. And my thing is this, guys, don't listen to me. Don't sit here and listen to me. I'm just Booker T. Go back and look at it yourselves. Go back and pull up Booker T versus Bobby Lashley and watch his footwork, watch his timing, watch, his presence. Every little detail about Bobby Lashley when, we had our run back in, in time, I meticulously made sure Bobby Lashley was to look great in everything that we went out there and did. And that right there, he's not going to have that luxury right now. Bobby Lashley, may be in a match now, where he's the elder statesman, where guys are relying on him to actually do what I did for him back in the day. So it's a throw up, man. It's a throw up. I want to see Bobby do well, but time will tell.
Time will tell about Bobby Lashley, but I wanted to ask you this. When Bobby was on this show, he was getting ready for a fight in Bellator, and he was real hype about this fight in Bellator, and at the time, he was the Impact Wrestling champion. But he had this proposal in his head. He had this idea that he was putting out there, and anyone who would listen. He said, wouldn't it be great to see Bobby Lashley versus Brock Lesnar inside of an octagon? And we all thought that would be pretty cool. But now, both the men are in the house that McMahon built, and we have Bobby Lashley on Raw. We have Brock Lesnar on Raw. Do you think maybe we see Bobby Lashley versus Brock?
I'm just speaking.
Would you like to see it?
Just speaking from a promoter's standpoint, as far as this go, I don't think Bobby Lashley has done enough in the WWE to come close to being in the same ring right now with Brock Lesnar. With my promoter's hat on, we have to build that match. Bobby Lashley has to do some extraordinary things to actually get to that point to really maximize what we could really get out of a match like that. Now, for me, it would take at least 364 days to put something like that together. It would take.
I see where you're going.
What are you saying?
You're saying it would take a year to do this, so maybe we could do it at WrestleMania.
I'm just saying. If something like that it would take at least a year.
So you don't think there's any chance they could do something with Bobby in the next 3-4 months, get him ready for SummerSlam, and SummerSlam, Lashley, Lesnar?
Yeah, we're going to talk about Edson Barbosa here in a little while, and Edson Barbosa's career is almost over. After Khabib beat the crap out of him, after Kevin Lee just did the same thing. I just switched the challenge to UFC real quick. We don't want to do that. You know what I mean? We don't want to do that with Bobby Lashley and Brock Lesnar. You don't want to do that too soon. You don't want to throw these guys on a house show and let the people see it. When we see that, it's got to be money, man. It's got to be a whole lot of ducats on the line, and everybody's got to get a piece of the pie. So you just, from, like I say, me personally, just from a promoter standpoint, it's just not a smart move to actually do something like that.
So soon. But eventually.
Perhaps.
You don't think there's money in that match?
Well, like I say, there again, it could be money in the match, but one career could be broken at the same time.
So you think a loss would end Bobby Lashley's career?
Perhaps. I'm not saying Bobby would lose. So let's not get too far ahead of ourselves. You know what I mean? There's people out there listening. There's a lot of writers out there that could take this and run with it.
What kind of writers?
Well, I don't want to throw any shade or anything like that. This is the conversation, Sports Radio 610. But definitely, yeah.
If Bobby Lashley took on Brock Lesnar in the Tokyo Dome, how many stars you give it? It'd probably be a 12-star match, right?
Perhaps.
Yeah, maybe 13.
Tell you a little story about Bobby Lashley, though. No one's never heard this story before. Bobby Lashley, I remember when I first met Bobby Lashley, my wife can confirm this story, if anybody out there listening. Bobby Lashley, I came to him one day and I go, man, Bobby Lashley, I can't remember who he was working. The guy used to do like the fitness exercises and stuff.
Simon Dean.
Simon Dean.
Yeah,
he was wrestling Simon Dean one day. And Simon Dean had Bobby Lashley, he was bumping like crazy all over the place, And I was like, man, what the heck's going on here? So I went, I pulled Bobby aside, man. Being an elder statesman, trying to, lay out the blueprint for guys on their way up. And I looked at Bobby Lashley, and man, he's a specimen. And it's, you look at the guy, he's like carved out of granite, especially back then.
He's looking real jacked.
Back then, I mean, he was like, you got to be kidding me. Look at this guy. And then his wrestling background was, over the top as well. He wasn't just some guy who was just in the locker room. He was a real wrestler. He could really, take you down and stretch you. And Simon Dean had him out there bumping like crazy. And I pull him aside and I say, hey, man, look at you, man. I say, man, you just as big as Brock Lesnar. I say, man, you are, Brock Lesnar. You know what I mean? I'm trying to pump him up. And I say, man, you're working with Simon Dean, man. I say, you got to know how to work, And he say, man, I think I should just go along with the program. And I go, wait, what? I say, all right. So I didn't talk to Bobby Lashley for 6 months straight. I wouldn't even look.
Well, because to put it in context, here you are, a veteran, former world champion. You're going over there to a guy who's new, and you're saying, hey, here's some advice. This can get you far along, and then he doesn't take it.
Yeah.
So that could be offensive.
I was pretty hot.
Yeah, I'd be kind of pissed, too.
I was mad.
Like, here I am. I'm taking it time out of my day to try to do something for you.
I was so mad. I wanted to fight him, but he was bigger than me. And I was like, I don't want to do that. So I just ignored Bobby for at least 6 months straight. I wouldn't even shake his hand. I wouldn't look at him. I wouldn't even acknowledge him. And one day he asked Sharmell, he's like, hey, Sharmell, what's going on? Does Booker don't like me or something? He never speaks to me. He never say anything to me, And Sharmell told him, well, I think you said the wrong thing to Booker the first time you met him.
But you're all about giving people second chances.
Yeah, and then next thing, Bobby and I, we started talking, and he came up to me, and he was like, man, what's going on, He's like, man, I want to come down to your school, and I want to come train, And then he was working, at the same time on the road. But he took time to come down to the school to train. And then we were overseas in UK, and he bought me like the nicest brand of Jack Daniels. It was like, I don't know how many years old, and he sent it over to my table to thank me. And I was like, oh, man, this kid's going to be all right, man. He's going to make it.
Oh, man, that's awesome. Yeah. That's awesome. So it's good to see. Did you see him when you were there on Monday?
Yeah, heck yeah, man. We hugged and everything, man. Right before, we had to, head out to go over to Saudi. We was, at the airport, It's just good to, be, back, around each other, and then to see him back, to actually finish it. I wondered, if he was going to be able to, like I say, some guys, get a second chance. Sometimes it takes longer. Sometimes guys don't get, a second chance. It's guys on the outside looking in, right now, wishing that they, that they could have, that spot, and wishing the company would call. Hey, that's what this thing is all about, man.
But it's cool. You got guys like Bobby back. You got Shelton back over there. And
we're going to talk about